And then we've got his Limit Break banner. He gets an astronaut costume, which is just perfect. So good. The Shinra 26, man, look at that. Wow. This is great. This is great. Oh, I love this. The weapon looks pretty dope too. What a great costume. This is excellent. This is excellent. No notes. Excellent. Let's take a look at Rocket Lance to start with. Let's see, 620% magic non-elemental damage. Enfeeble is applied, which is the first time we've had Enfeeble in the game. Ice resist is decreased to high at OB10. Boost attack all allies 46. Buff debuff extension 39 with an X sigil break. This Enfeeble, essentially, 70 seconds is a long time, by the way. Enfeeble increases the amount that your debuffs debuff, right? So this ice resist decrease is going to be more potent because of the Rocket Lance's Enfeeble effect. So initial glance at this is a good weapon. This is a very good, this is like, if you had to tell me, Gary, I need the best ice debuff weapon in the game, this is the best ice debuff weapon in the game. What's the problem with this? The problem with this is that there are so many weapons in this game that debuff ice resist specifically. This is specifically selling you on Enfeeble, which is going to push your ice damage up to levels that other players will not be able to hit. But it's also going to require you to build out Cid like immediately. The R abilities are great. Boost attack all allies is excellent. Buff debuff extension is fantastic, especially because you're looking at Enfeeble and ice resist down, which are both, I believe this would also be increased from the buff to buff extension as well. No, it's not. This is just stats, potency, and resistances, right? So it would not increase this. This would still be at 70 seconds. It would increase this though, because this is a debuff. It's good. I don't think it's great, but it's good. I don't think if it's going to really come down to the outfit itself. I wouldn't pull super heavily on this. I think this is a great weapon for him to have as like something you would prioritize your weapon parts to, because I think at OB0, yeah, at OB0, it still does mid. It still does Enfeeble for 40 seconds. This is fine. This is fine. Like, OB0 is fine. It gets the job done, right? It gets the job done. That's really all you're looking for. It's just the OB0. So let's take a look at the outfit, which would be the reason that we pull. Oh, hey, buddy. That's interesting. He gets buff debuff extension all allies. Interesting. So that increases the buff debuff effect duration for all allies by 20%. That's really good. It's not huge, but like 20%, so like 20% of 70 seconds, right? I know that's not what would get buff debuffed, but that's an extra 14 seconds. That's a long time. A long time. 20% on 30 is an extra 6 seconds. That would be separated because it's all allies. So much like the attack all allies, the physical attack all allies, the magic attack all allies, those are calculated separately from the individual weapon abilities. So yeah, no, this is a pretty good effect, and this would actually increase your buff debuff past where it could currently go. So fairly strong. Cosmic protection, physical and magic defense plus 20% is great. Physical and magic attack plus 10% is also great. This kind of reminds me of Barrett's Electro armor, but instead of having boost HP, it's got buff debuff extension all allies, which is again is great. So solid defensive outfit, solid debuffing weapon. This I think this is a skip, to be honest, for free to play players, right? Unless you're like really into Cid or you have a very good ice team, those are the moments where I'd just be like, all right, man, yeah, like for sure. And this outfit may be useful for Cid down the road, but right now this banner is not better than this one, and it's not even close. This banner is way better than the Cid banner is. And that's not to just besmidge the point. Like, this is a good weapon, not great, but good. This is a great outfit. But the New Year's banner has two outfits that are significantly more useful in general. Yeah, I like with all limited banners, the limit break banner, I do think that you should pull on this banner at least once to get a copy of that weapon. But in terms of the wish list, if I was going to pull on this banner, I would be pulling for basically all of the ice stuff. This would include his ice buffing weapon as well. So the scimitar, which would also stack with his current weapon. So that build is great, by the way, because not only does he debuff, like an extra debuff of ice defense down onto the enemies, he also gets to buff all of your teammates with their offensive stuff and with their ice damage. So he's decreasing ice potency or ice resist. He's increasing ice damage, and he has buff debuff extension on both of his weapons. This one's boost 52, which gets you almost up to the top, which means you could offhand the other weapon, or you could even offhand this one and you'd probably get close anyways, right? 26 and 39. Yeah, that would be over the top at 2. So this could be in your offhand. And you'd have maxed buff debuff extension, which is a 200% bonus, which is ×3. So instead of it being 30 seconds, it's now 90 seconds, which is a lifetime in Ever Crisis. That's so long. Some fights in Ever Crisis are only allowed to go 2.5 minutes. So from that perspective, like his ice support, he's the best ice support in the game, right? So when I say don't pull on this, I'm saying this specifically to people that are, you know, building something like a good overall account. If your best damage right now is ice damage, and you want to have the best ice support for your completely overbuilt Yuffie Ice Arcanum, then this is the banner for you, right? So when I say don't pull on it, I'm saying in general, right? But like for your account, if you've got a whole ice team and you are desperately needing a consistent ice damage support, Cid is your guy. So from that perspective, Scimitar goes on immediately. This is his offhand weapon. This is exactly what he's going to be using. So make sure that this is on your wish list for sure. And then anything else on here, you're going to be looking for specifically any ice damage stuff that's going to help get your current characters built out. So there are a few options of characters that have strong ice damage weapons. Yuffie has 2 with Little Red Wreath, which does 940% magic ice damage and an additional 20% if there's a debuff down, which with Cid, pretty much guaranteed. Also has access to Spiral Shuriken, which is a physical version. No bells and whistles on this one, just 800% physical ice damage, which is fine. Sephiroth has edged wings. Matt's Absolute Royal is a good magic ice sub weapon. Not great, but good. A couple other options on here as well, including Zack's Defender, which is great for someone that's just doing a support build, right? So someone like Cid, who's trying to support his allies, you can give him some more boost heal, give him some ice potency to help his ice materia, because that's what Cid would have to use because he doesn't have an ice weapon, which is another thing that bothers me. I'll get back to that in a second. But this would help boost Cid's heal, so he would get a little bit better heals off for his teammates. Boost ice potency would give him a little bit more damage, which is obviously very good. So good overall sub weapon there. Another couple of good options. Aerith's Snowflake goes up to boost 62 magic attack, which is great for Yuffie to help get her capped out. Tifa's Holy Flame Gloves goes as a decent physical ice damage weapon as well, just like Yuffie's ice damage weapon. So whichever one you have more of, that's an option. Cloud's Enhanced Sword is a good generic attack ice potency sub weapon. Leans towards magic attack, but brands can push this into physical. You can get physical attacking brands to change this over to a more physical focused weapon. That was something that you wanted to go down the road for. And then last but not least, we've got Lucia's Bald Eagle, which has boost 62 attack and 39 ice potency. Also does ice resist down, but you don't really need that if you're pulling for Cid, right? So for me, I only have a few weapons that I don't have at high overboost for ice resist specifically. Or ice damage rather specifically. Holy Flame Gloves are almost OB10. I do not have the Little Red Wreath at OB0 yet, so this would be on my wish list. My Edged Wings is OB10 already, but my Spiral Shuriken is not, so I would include that on my wish list as well. And then past that, I would get any type of support weapons. The Zack weapon, yeah, it was. I actually have this at OB10 already, otherwise this would be on my list for sure. Because not only does it give 604 physical attack, which seems to be where Cid is leaning, is physical attack, even though those two weapons in particular are, well, his Limit Break weapon actually has a decent balance. I think it was 614 and 640, right? But a lot of Cid's weapons are 604 are higher physical attack focused. So this one having a decent physical attack while also giving good supporting our abilities is a good sub weapon for sure. And then for the last two weapons, it would just be based on kind of what your wish list is. So if you're pulling on all magic damage ice weapons, you'd want to pull for some magic damage support, because as it stands right now, Cid is only doing ice debuff and ice damage buffing. So somebody that debuffs, somebody that helps support ice damage that debuffs like physical and magic defense. Obviously, Aerith is always a good call. If you pulled on the Limit Break banner, that's a great one for magic defense. If you're looking for physical defense specifically, I would look towards Zac, because Zac, you can pull his Pressure Ridge, which also does ice resist down, which is not super important, but it does ice damage as well. And then Zac also has access to a ton of options to debuff physical defense, including Twinkling Star, which lowers physical defense mid to high, and also does a magic attack debuff as well, which may not always be useful, but generically fairly strong, does the job, gets the job done. He also has, I believe it's Cutlass, so you could get Cutlass as well, which is a more defensive option that lowers physical defense on a single enemy. That's an option as well. Obviously, Zac also does ice damage, which is why I suggest Zac. If you do have access to Cloud's premium Limit Break weapon that was the ice damage weapon, you could look at Cloud's Hard Edge. Hard Edge also does a physical defense debuff. If you have the Monster Hunter weapon for Cloud, you already have access to physical defense down, so that's an option as well. In terms of anybody else, it's mostly just pick your poison. I think that if you're running the magic damage build, you're probably looking at specifically Aerith's Crimson Wand as your best option, because it not only raises your team's magic attack, but it lowers the enemy's magic defense. So, yeah. But otherwise, it's fine. Like I said, if you have an ice team and you're looking for the best ice support in the game, welcome to the best ice support in the game, right? No denying that. He is the best ice support in the game, for sure. Like, for sure. But it doesn't do ice damage. It does not non-elemental. His other weapon that buffs ice damage, it's fine, right? It's fine, but it's not great. It's a little slow, but it's just as slow as Citric Wand. The only difference between it and Citric Wand is only 3 ATB, so it's a little bit faster, right? Because it doesn't cost as much ATB to get the magic attack up and the ice damage up. Yeah, it looks cool. It definitely looks cool, and the outfit looks great. And the outfit itself is actually good too. Like, the generic defensive stats is great. Generic offensive stats is great. Giving your entire team buff debuff extension is excellent, right? All of this is great. But this weapon is kind of meh. Unless it's meh for free-to-play players. If you're a whale, you are salivating right now, because this is insane for ice damage teams. This will be key to people getting high scores in next week's guild battle, 100%. But for most free-to-play players, this is probably a skip. And I would suggest, if you haven't already gotten one of the outfits in this Limit Break banner draw, I would go here and just save. That's what I would do. I would just chill. We are going to do one pull. I'm going to make this very generic to the stuff that I'm looking for in particular. Just because I'm doing one pull, and if I get anything from this, I want to make sure that I'm getting something or stuff that I want. All right, so let's do our one pull. I just want to make sure that we've got access to the weapon. That figures, yeah. Did I get a 4-star at least? Oh, man. Please let this be the one. But yeah, so for me, though, this is, unless you're sitting on a ton of crystals and you have everything built out, or if your best team is ice damage, that's the only way I'm pulling on this banner. The only way. Right? It's just not worth the investment, unfortunately. It's just not. But it's just like Matt's banner from the holiday, right? Like, it's a little too, and like Vincent's banner, actually, the one that's out right now. It's good. Like the Vincent banner, this Vincent outfit, this is good. But like, this isn't going to help you clear any of the content outside of the highest of high tier content. There are characters in the game that do ice resist down that are more than good enough. More than good enough. Red 13 does it at 3 ATB instead of 4. Lucia does it with a boost 62 physical attack potency weapon that has an ice materia slot, which is 10% stronger than this when it comes to ice potency. It's just a little junk foodie. It's not something that you need in your diet, right? If it's something that you want to pull for because you want to get your ice damage maxed out, I totally get it, right? Totally get it. Otherwise, though, it's just not worth the hassle. As much of a bummer as that is, too, like, don't get me wrong, I wish I could tell you that this is a 100% must pull, but in terms of the limit break banners, this might actually be the, I don't want to be dramatic, but it does feel like that this is the most underwhelming limit break banner we've had, I think, ever. I can't even think of another limit break banner where I looked at the limit break weapon and went, wow, I don't want that.